Namaste Krishna Rao, welcome to IYRTalks English edition. As we have been discussing in our topics, any topic we talk of an international importance, the Trump names surfaces. So now in this topic also we have to first mention the Trump because it is Trump's tariffs. So after Trump has come, trade war on tariffs. Now in this context we just want to, I want you to give your opinion and the object behind these free trade agreements which India has been actively engaging to boost its trade and then economic relations with various countries and regions. So this FTA, these free trade agreements also can be referred as regional trade agreements and also bilateral trade agreements depending on their scope and depth. What is this free trade agreements? And so far, as per the information received, India has signed 13 FTAs and 6 preferential trade agreements to promote exports and provide greater access to the Indian domestic markets. Can you give some input on this free trade agreements which India has got and how free trade agreements mutually helps the development of the economy and also boosts its revenue?
Yeah, free trade agreements have become more important after the World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization is based upon one principle of most favored nation. If you give any tariff concession to one country, that applies to everyone. If you say for America, I will charge 10% for steel imports, that becomes 10% across the board. From whichever country you are importing steel, you can only charge 10%, you can't charge more than that. That's the most favored nation principle on which the World Trade Organization is built, because the idea is you should have a free trade all across the globe. Then only different countries, depending upon their strength, will start specializing in certain areas, and that will give a much better efficiency. Global efficiency will come, global chains of supply will get built up. So you can have a small part of an auto being made in Japan, another part made in Indonesia, another part in India where it specializes, another in Africa, and everything assembled maybe in some other country and then shipped to some other country. This is the whole idea of this World Trade Organization. But they give one exception. If there is a free trade agreement between countries, they can have a different set of rules altogether. So then free trade agreements became important because that becomes exclusive, excluding from the WTO rules. So America has developed its own free trade agreement with Mexico and Canada. That's how they got a lot of supplies, car supplies from Mexico. Car industry has developed because of that. Recently, there was an FTA in the Southeast Asian nations where China also became a member. India also participated in the discussion, but finally when the agreement was to be signed, India came out stating that that's not going to serve our purpose because that may result in dumping of cheap Chinese goods into India. That can be a conduit. And India was right, because the recent Economist carries an article which says because of this free trade agreement, manufacturing is dying in places like Malaysia and Indonesia. Everything is coming and dumped from China. So they are having a serious problem and they are trying to raise their tariffs. So India did a good thing. So now India is planning 3 broad free trade agreements. One, of course, they already have with United Arab Emirates. One they are discussing with Europe. One they are discussing with England. And now, of course, one more with America. All these will be beneficial to India because either Europe or England, they are not agriculturally competitive. So you need not be afraid that there will be dumping of agricultural produce from Europe and England into India. So Indian agriculture is protected in spite of the trade agreement. Manufacturing also very costly there. So if that really goes through, a lot of manufacturing can happen here and can be shipped to Europe and England. So both ways. Then liberalization of visas, taking more people for profession is also one of the part of the trade agreement. If that also is clicked, on which England has some reservations, then that also opens up a lot of employment opportunities for Indians abroad. So that's another important thing. But when it comes to America, one has to be careful because America is agriculturally competitive. It has a huge agriculture, wheat production, corn production on a large scale. So if all that is dumped into India, Indian agriculture will get affected. So which items you include in the free trade agreement, which items you don't, is a thing on which government of India has to be careful. Otherwise, they will have a serious problem at a later date. So with those exceptions, that can be a good free trade agreement with America. UAE, yes, because they don't produce anything. So a free trade agreement with them is a welcome thing for India, as long as they don't become a conduit for somebody else, something produced in China coming through UAE as if made in UAE. That is one thing on which place of origin is very important, that needs to be looked into. I think the three free trade agreements, if they go through with Europe, England and America, that would be a good thing as far as India is concerned.
Let's hope that in the revised context of trade tariffs, India will prevail upon such more free trade agreements. Thank you.